And we welcome you back to the Sporting News Studio, sitting with NFL editor Scott Rich. I'm Tom Vandervoort. That's Stephen Levine, talking about Week 2 of the NFL season. It's almost in the books. Not quite. One more game.
Giants-Rams tonight.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, we saw some eye-opening performances, I thought, yesterday. And let's start with the Detroit Lions.
That's a physical football team. Lions get a lot of pub for their defense, but what stands out to me early on is just how explosive that offense is. And I'll say this right now, I think they're a top 5 offense in the NFL. The knock on Stafford has always been his health. Well, we're 2 games into the season. Stafford's fine, and a number of quarterbacks are dealing with injuries. In other words, it's a week-to-week thing in the NFL. Stafford is healthy. One comment yesterday was when he throws the football, it looks like he's throwing a baseball. That's how strong his arm is. So forget the health issues with Matt Stafford. He's healthy. He's arrived. And I think you can start considering him near the top of the upper echelon quarterbacks in the NFL.
Really? That's a big statement. We haven't seen him that much. How far can this team go? They've got to face some adversity still, I think.
They do. Nick Fairley's coming back, if not this week, then next week, so they're going to get a little bit stronger on defense. You alluded to Calvin Johnson as having a nice weapon at hand, and he is. But that team is more than that. They've got 2 big tight ends, Brandon Pettigrew, and a lot of people forget Tony Scheffler was very productive in Denver. And then they have a rookie from Boise State who made probably the catch of the day, at least for the Lions yesterday, on a big 3rd down situation. It was a circus catch. His name is Titus Young. Keep an eye on that kid. The Lions have a lot of offensive weapons here. Javid Best is very explosive back. What they lack is a hammer to run the ball in between the tackles. But they got Michael LaShore, who can come back next year and do that. So, yes, they're on the rise. I don't think they're going to knock off Green Bay this year. Next year, they'll be in that discussion of who's better between Green Bay and Detroit in the NFC North.
Talking about not knocking off Green Bay, the Panthers came close. They hung with Green Bay for a while yesterday, and Cam Newton turned a lot of heads. I mean, here's a guy, his first 2 starts as an NFL quarterback amassed close to 850 yards, or just over 850 yards total. Are you a believer? Is this the real deal?
I was a skeptic before the season started. I just didn't see spread option quarterbacks translating into successful NFL quarterbacks. I was dead wrong on Cam Newton.
Takes a big man to
well, Cam Newton is a big man at quarterback, but the thing that you realize with Newton is how comfortable he is with the fast pace and the physical part of the game. He doesn't have happy feet in the pocket. He's comfortable with heat coming on him, and he's physical enough that he can elude a lot of rushes. The Panthers have got to be ecstatic from what they've seen through the first 2 games. Now, after a while, it's going to get a little old, moral victory after moral victory. Those have to translate into wins. But look at rookie quarterbacks and where they were after their first 2 games in the NFL. Cam Newton is light years ahead of what everybody expected from him.
But here's my concern. I understand the baptism by fire approach, and I understand the benefits of that. But Cam Newton is also the leading rusher on that team, both in attempts and yards amassed. Without any run support, aren't you just throwing the lambs to the slaughter here in terms of Cam Newton?
A little bit. You run the risk of injury. It's a physical, violent league for sure, and you don't want Newton exposed too many times. They are going to have to establish a few more things beyond Newton as far as concerns for defenses. Running the game solves a lot of your offensive problems. When you can control the ball and move it, that gets receivers open in any offense. So your point well taken. But for now, having Newton as a big play threat is enough for opposing defensive coordinators to worry about and game plan for. So, you've got to start someplace. He's only 2 games into his NFL career. I think Carolina made the right choice.
Yeah, it would seem so.
Yeah, they're certainly not afraid to put the game in his hands right now. Let's talk about a guy who threw for under 200 yards but won the ball game. The last game on Sunday, Matt Ryan, the Atlanta Falcons, looked like they were down and out against the Eagles. He leads them to a comeback win.
He was under duress the whole game from the Eagles pass rush and did a great job of really being efficient. And he was perfect in the red zone, 5 for 5 with 4 touchdown passes. We talked about Cam Newton being able to pile up a lot of yards. What Matt Ryan showed is yards can be a little bit overrated in the NFL. It's what you do when you get close and maximizing, when you're inside the 20. And Ryan, you got to give him credit. He handled the pressure well. He found ways to get the ball to his receivers. He's got a nice group to look Roddy White, Julio Jones. Don't forget Tony Gonzalez.
He played a huge role in
Right,
that
he's
game.
a Hall of Famer. So he's got a lot of weapons at his disposal. But what Matt Ryan did under the pressure that the Eagles were applying yesterday really showed me that he is one of the better quarterbacks in the NFC right now.
Well, it was interesting, too, to watch the Eagles give up a lead because it feels like their defense is built for having a lead. You know, you can pin your ears back and rush the passer. You got 2, 3 really great corners out there. You got a lot of good cover guys, and yet Atlanta was able to come back on them.
Right. Asamoah lived up.
He looked great.
To the signing. Yeah. He was absolutely a blanket yesterday. Rogers Cromartie, that's a good, tough, solid defense, which speaks to what Ryan was able to do in moving the ball. At times it didn't look pretty. At times it looked like he was underhanding a lot of passes and he was throwing a lot out of bounds. But what you saw was not take huge sacks, keep the ball moving, find ways to get it to open guys. If it's underneath, let them make plays. Ryan has command of the game. That's something that's going to come to Cam Newton, who in terms of yards had a lot more than Ryan did. He just couldn't convert them to points.
That's the thing. Once Carolina got into the red zone, they sort of stalled out, whereas Matt Ryan, while he didn't amass those yards, he was able to convert those yards into points that he did get.
Which, as you were saying, you're going to have more than just a quarterback make plays for you when you're close. Matt Ryan obviously has a lot of weapons with Roddy White, Julio Jones, as we mentioned, and Tony Gonzalez. That's a good football team.
And a pretty good running back in Michael Turner.
Michael Turner, they've got a lot of weapons on offense.
Absolutely. All right, that's our look at Week 2 of the NFL season. For Scott Ridge and Stephen Levine, I'm Tom Vandervoort, and we'll see you next time.